Good go. Okay, welcome. Tonight we're going to have our invocation given by Councilmember Laura North, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening and the opportunity to gather as leaders, servants, and neighbors with one shared purpose, the good of our city. Lord, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance over this council. Grant each member discernment as we make decisions that impact the lives of our residents. May our words be thoughtful and our actions just and our motives pure. Help us to work together with unity, humility, and respect for the greater good of the people of Kingsburg. We lift up our city employees, our first responders, our educators, and all who dedicate their time to keeping this community safe, thriving, and strong. Bless them with energy, protection, and joy in their work. As we move through tonight's meeting, may your presence bring peace, clarity, and collaboration. May everything be done here to honor you and uplift the community that we serve. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We'll call this meeting to order. This is going to be the Kingsburg City Council regular agenda meeting for October 15th, 2025. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Present. Here.
Here.
Here. First thing up we're going to have tonight is to approve the agenda, but before we do that, due to a scheduling conflict, the police department will not be presenting the crime report statistics. Based on that, I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda prior to approval.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now with that, we will move to approve tonight's agenda. Entertain motions.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to presentation and informational reports. The current tax rolls and property owners protection alert let's see, we have Deputy Recorder and the manager, Manjeet Dhaliwal. Come on up. Thanks for coming.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Manjeet Dhaliwal, Deputy Recorder, Business Manager for the Fresno County Assessor Recorder's Office, representing Paul Ditko's. Unfortunately, he had a last-minute conflict just a few minutes ago and couldn't make it here, so he sent me. I do not have the tax roll information that Paul wanted to present to you for the increases year over year, but I do have some information regarding POPA, which is the Property Owners Protection Alert System. I wrote it just a little bit. So property title fraud, also known as deed theft, it's a growing threat that can cost homeowners their most valuable asset, which is their home. Criminals use forged documents or stolen identities to illegally transfer ownership of property, often without the owner's knowledge. Once the title is fraudulently changed, the thief may take out loans against the property or even attempt to sell it. And once the owner finds out, sometimes it's too late to do anything about it, or it's years and years worth of legal fights. So although it's not completely widespread, there is a growing, there is an increase nationwide, which prompted Assessor Recorder Paul Ditko to start this program. And it's essentially, it notifies property owners once they sign up, anytime any document is recorded with either their name or their APN, which is their assessor's parcel number. You might hear on radio or on TV that there's a lot of paid companies that are offering this service, but this one is offered by the Assessor Recorder free for any of the residents. All you have to do is go on to the website and sign up. It's about a 5-minute process, give or take, to sign up. And once you sign up, you can sign up to get alerts either by your name, a business name if you have, and or your APN as well. And so anytime a deed or is recorded against it or any notice, even a lien, once that is indexed, which is usually a few days later, you'll receive an email. And by notifying you early enough, you have an opportunity to, look into that document, make sure it's valid, or if it is fraudulent, you can contact the DA's real estate fraud unit. And at that point, there is things that can be done before things get further along. We created just little postcards. You know, they have on one side is English, one side is Spanish. They have QR codes, a little bit of information about the program. We have some in the back. Spread the word, and the goal is to go to each city council meeting and let people know in addition to other ways to do it. So that's about it. On the website, there is going to be step-by-step instructions. There's also a phone number. We have staff available that can walk anybody through that process as well. So that's it. Available for any questions.
Also, do you have any questions, Mr. Dollywall?
You have a question? Do you have a number of how many people have had have that happen to them and their homes have been taken from them, with that fraudulent process?
So I don't have the exact number, at least in Fresno County. I know there has been fraudulent documents that have been recorded, that if we become aware of it in the office, or we suspect that it's fraudulent, we do report that to the DA's office ourselves. And we've done that just maybe a couple of months ago. But sometimes it's hard for the recorder. We don't look at the documents. As long as they meet the legal requirements for recording, we do record it. And at that point, a lot of times we're not involved in that aspect, but with each recorded document, real estate fraud, there is a real estate fraud fee that some of that money goes toward the DA to prosecute and investigate. So I don't have a number, but I've gone to a couple of recorder conferences and where the FBI has come in, and it's happening. It's growing. It's not decreasing. It's growing each year. And they've told us stories, where either it's an elderly person and they'll record documents with that person's name. They'll use fake notary stamps now. They're very easy to find. And it's happening quite often. So even the FBI is involved, the local district attorneys are involved. So I don't have a number though, unfortunately. But it is definitely on the rise. Each year over year, it's rising. And so this is just one aspect. This doesn't stop the recording of those, fraudulent papers, but it can notify you. And so typically, if you're recording a document, you've already signed it. If you're refinancing a mortgage, you typically know about it. So if you get an alert and you've done something, you can probably ignore the alert, right? But if you get an alert and you haven't done any transaction, it's not a bad idea to look into it. If you put it in with your name as well and you have a common name, you may get some, alerts that aren't necessarily pertaining to you. But, sometimes it's still better to be safe than sorry. But if you put your APN, there's only one property in the county with your APN, so that would be directly affecting your property. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. We're just trying to be proactive right now and offer this program. And again, like I said, there's other companies that charge. This is completely free.
Yeah.
So,
Other questions? Okay. First I know you have the handouts. Can you just tell us what the website is?
sure. So the website is, kind of goes long to get right to the other one is www.fresnocountyca.gov, all spelled out, no dashes. From there, you can go to departments and look for the recorder. Once you're on the recorder, the main page, there's a few blocks, and one of them is this program.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's like Fresno County / departments - recorder and so forth. It goes long, but there's QR codes on here. But again, if you go to the Fresno County website, you could find it there pretty easily.
Yeah, maybe that's something we can add to our city newsletter and push it out to our residents that way.
Yeah.
This is not specifically related to that, but it's a recorded question.
Sure.
How many APN numbers are there in Fresno County?
About 250,000 or so, roughly. Maybe slightly more.
Okay, perfect.
And they're growing. We're not growing as fast in general because it's kind of the slowdown, but they don't decrease, right?
Okay. Any other questions? So, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Good night.
Next, we're going to move on to public comment. This provides an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items of interest to the public within the council's jurisdiction, which are not already on the agenda this evening. It is the policy of council not to answer these questions impromptu. Speakers should limit their comments to not more than 3 minutes. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the council as each item is brought up for discussion. Do we have any members of the public that would like to address council? Come on up, state your name, and let us know that you live here, if you do.
Hi guys, Tammy Dooley, Kingsburg Chamber of Commerce. I'm here tonight to introduce our new Executive Director, Lauren Nickel.
Hello, friends. Hi to some of you who I've met before. Hello for the first time. It's Mayor Pro Tem, council staff, everybody. My name is Lauren Nickel. I am on day 6 at the Kingsburg District Chamber of Commerce. As you may be aware, our longtime director, Barbara Little, is retiring at the end of this month. Give her a hug. She has done the most. So I am sitting with her for the next couple of weeks while we transition over to do this. A little bit about me as a professional. I've spent about 15 years in nonprofit management, most recently with the Fresno County Economic Development Corporation, where I met Councilwoman North and your city manager, Alex Henderson, through the 5 Cities JPA, Joint Powers Authority for Economic Development. Done a lot of work with the city of Kingsburg, know Jolene. When this position came up, I thought it might be good to have a conversation with Reggie and Tammy. On a personal note, I'm a resident of Reedley, but my spouse has taught at Rayford Johnson Junior High for the last 4 years in the 7th grade doing science, bless his heart. He goes to middle school every day. It was hard enough for me to survive middle school one time, so blessings to him and to our educators. Our children go to school here as well. So when this opportunity came up, it seemed like a good time to spend some more time in Kingsburg for me. Looking forward to meeting all of you who I haven't met yet. Just a couple doors down. Would love to grab a coffee. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me here tonight. Looking forward to doing good work with good people here in this city. Happy to answer questions if you've got any.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Next, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and include a recommendation from staff and shall be acted on in one motion of the council. If a council member requests additional information or would like to pull an item for discussion, that item shall be pulled from the consent calendar and acted upon separately. A motion to approve the consent calendar is deemed to include a motion to waive a full reading of any ordinance or resolution of the consent calendar. For tonight, we have items 1 through 13. Do we have any members that would like to pull anything from consent? No? Any staff or public like to pull anything from consent tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will entertain motions for the consent calendar.
I'll make that motion. Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Good.
Consent passes. Thank you. Next, we will move on to our regular calendar. Item 14, a public hearing, the general plan amendment, number 2025-01, staff report prepared by Community Development Director Holly Owen. For that, we will start by officially opening this public hearing. And Director Owen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Purcell and Council. Holly Owen, Community Development Director for the city. We are here to hopefully have the last step in what has been a long process with the housing element for Kingsburg. When writing the staff report, I realized there was a narrative, a long story to tell, but I tried to bullet point it for us all so we could go through with a timeline and revisit how we got to where we are now and give you an update on how the conversation's gone with housing and community development and recommend an action for you to take. So just to review, it is an 8-year policy document. It's required by every city and state in California, and it's to identify current and projected housing needs, show where locations for housing might be built, and identify any obstacles to building that housing, and to set goals, policies, and programs to meet those housing needs. We have a number of policies and programs now that are in our housing element, and everybody else does too, I think this cycle. And the housing elements are reviewed and approved by the state. We first participated in the multi-jurisdictional housing element in 2022 for this cycle. We did do that for the last cycle too, so this is our round 2 for the multi-jurisdictional housing element. On July 17th, 2024, the city did adopt the 6th cycle housing element as part of that update process. We also proposed a zoning text amendment based on program requirements contained in that housing element, which the City Council considered on December 4th, 2024. At this meeting, the community voiced some concern over proposed increase of minimum allowable density for the sites contained in the housing element sites inventory that would have to be amended as part of the proposed zoning text changes. The City Council adopted the zoning text amendments, that is the verbiage we needed, but did not include the text changes that would have increased minimum allowable density on those 4 sites. As this required additional analysis, the direction to staff was to continue communication with HCD and craft alternative options to the housing element requirements. The alternative chosen by council was the amendment of the city's adopted housing element to revise the sites inventory, removing the need to increase the density for any parcels within the sites inventory and addressing the concerns of the community while remaining compliant with the state law. After working to amend the housing element since December 2024, we submitted an amended version to HCD on June 26, 2025. And in order to remove the requirement to increase the zoning and the density of select parcels identified in the housing sites inventory, 3 sites have been removed from our sites inventory, and 13 new sites have been added. This balances out that number that HCD was looking for, and it meets the satisfaction and the requirement. And we have followed the direction that council gave us on that. There are consultants here tonight to answer any questions from Provo and Pritchard. They've been very helpful in trying to guide us through this process for a number of months now. There was a noticing requirement. We had to post this and put it on the website for public review. The public posting was available and met those requirements. And on August 19th, HCD sent us a determination letter to the city, which is your attachment 1. So we now must adopt a resolution amending the general plan to formally adopt the amendments to the housing element. That's a general plan amendment action. We can take 4 of those a year. This is I believe the one and only that we're going to be taking in 2025. And you need to determine whether such action is consistent with the city's general plan, environmental impact report, and its subsequent addendum. The Planning Commission reviewed this on September 11th. They voted 4-0 to recommend the City Council adopt the general plan amendment, and that recommendation is forwarded to you, to Council. We do have the sites inventory, Abby, on page 313 that reflects some of those changes that we had talked about and that you had wished to see. And at this point, we present this to you for consideration for the general plan amendment and to adopt the resolution 2025-63. This concludes my staff report, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have, and the consultants are here too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from council or discussion? Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment for this. Bring it back to council for final discussion. Is there any final thoughts from council?
Just have one question. Holly said there was 13 other parcels that were 13, you said?
Take the 13. It's this, that one right there. So if I'm correct, the 13 parcels were towards the end of this sheet right there. The vacant parcels, you see the highway commercial?
Oh, yeah, okay.
The ones that were omitted or revised were above that, the page before, with the ones that have strikeouts on them. So that was page 313, I believe. There.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes.
Fine.
Any more council discussion, questions?
Can we just breathe a sigh of relief?
Once it's passed.
It was a gamble, but
Yeah.
it was what was right for our city. So thank you for your extra work on it.
Richard, thank you very much. Okay, we will close the public hearing, and our staff recommendation is that we adopt resolution 2025-063, recommending the council adopts the general plan amendment 2025-01, finding that such action is consistent with the city of Kingsburg general plan environmental impact report and subsequent addendum pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 151A3. Entertain motions.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Thank you. Deep breath. Okay, moving on to item 15, Townsend Public Affairs Legislative Update. Presentation by Spencer Street from Townsend Public Affairs. Welcome, Spencer. Thanks for coming down.
Of course, Mayor, Council, members of the community of Kingsburg, thank you very much for having me. Spencer Street with Townsend Public Affairs. We're very proud to represent the city in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. Before I get going, please interrupt me. I'm going through a lot of information. If you have questions, let me know as they come up or send them to the end. I'm always available for whatever you need. Starting out, going to quickly go over a recap of the 2025 legislative session in Sacramento, a little bit of a look ahead into 2026, and then same with Washington, D.C., framing what happened this year and what we anticipate coming up into the next year. The year in Sacramento started off with about a $12 billion budget deficit, and that really framed how the state took a lot of action when it came to energy, housing. A lot of relief went down to Southern California, and there were some unanticipated expenditures as well. The state is facing a $12 billion deficit this year, and then also out into 2028 and 2029. We're seeing structural deficits ranging between about $10 billion up to potentially $20 billion, according to Department of Finance and the Legislative Analyst's Office. So coming back in January, we're going to take some early action to reduce some spending or to shore up expenditures somewhere else. The overspending in a couple of key programs, specifically in some money was dedicated to the Attorney General to litigate actions taken by the federal government, and also a lot of funding was dedicated to wildfire relief after the wildfires down in Los Angeles. There's also some significant overspending in the healthcare sector. The state had some unanticipated costs as Medi-Cal eligibility has expanded. The state borrowed about $3 billion from the general fund to cover some of those expenses that put cost pressures on other areas of the state budget. As the budget process went on, Mayor Vision came out in May, full budget came out in June and July, and then over August and into September, a series of trailer bills came out amending this year's budget and also the last several budget years to implement certain provisions of the budget and also to adjust certain levels of spending. In the last week of session, a large energy package went through reauthorizing the state's cap and trade plan, or the cap and trade program that funds greenhouse gas reduction emissions programs, as well as funds transit, funds housing programs that come into local communities as well. Next slide. Overall, the state used a series of solutions to shore up that $12 billion budget deficit. There was some dipping into the state's rainy day fund, but rainy day fund is still healthy. The state plans on potentially accessing that in the future as well. There was some borrowing between general fund and some special funds, as well as from the greenhouse gas reduction fund, and some cost shifts as well to make sure that the budget was balanced at the end of the fiscal year going into next year. Next slide. Going into some pieces of legislation impacting local governments, the Brown Act was a bear this year. There were several bills that would have reformed the Brown Act, some that were intended to provide some more flexibility to local governments, and some that, on the flip side, increase transparency, increase access to local meetings. Those bills were ultimately combined into Senate Bill 707 by Senator Durazo. Over the course of the year, this bill was amended several times, and going into the last week of session, for all intents and purposes, the bill wasn't going to progress. There were still some negotiations taking place, amendments that were submitted, and the senator committed to holding it over. And then in the last 24 hours of session, the bill came back and was ultimately passed. We are putting together a pretty comprehensive implementation memo that we'll be sending to the city. It will cover not only some of the provisions in the bill, but then also what we anticipate going into next year. Overall, the bill, it will expand hybrid public participation modalities, and will also increase the responsibility of local governments to expand access to agendas, public notices, and then also translation requirements of agendas and notices. The city, I worked with the city and the city clerk on opposing the bill, making sure that the city's voice was heard when it comes to making sure that local control is not undermined, making sure that there are some flexibilities. One key provision in the bill exempts small cities in small counties, but smaller cities like the city of Kingsburg and a large county are not exempted from certain provisions of the bill. We do anticipate Senator Durazo coming back in 2026 to provide some more amendments to the bill. She's committed to working with local governments. Not sure exactly what those amendments will be, but the fight will continue into next year as well. Next slide. Senate Bill 79 by Senator Wiener. This bill makes transit-oriented development housing projects a by right use on certain parcels of public property. The intent here is to expand California's housing supply. They have identified properties owned by transit agencies that are eligible for development. This bill has been amended down to only impact transit dense counties. So the city or the county of Fresno is not subject to this bill, but it will impact other larger transit dense counties. Next slide. Assembly Bill 379 by Assemblymember Schultz. This bill is another bill that the legislature embarked on this year to crack down on human trafficking. This has been a labor for the last several years. And this bill in particular makes it a misdemeanor to loiter with the intent to purchase for commercial sex, and then also makes solicitation of a minor a wobbler. This has been a push from Assemblymember Krell and also Senator Grove in past years to really make sure that we're protecting minors, we're cracking down on human trafficking. And this bill was actually one of the first bills signed into law this year. It was signed into law earlier this year, showing the intent of the legislature to enhance public safety, support local governments as well. Next slide. Senate Bill 346 by Senator Durazo related to transient occupancy taxes. This bill was sponsored by Cal Cities and allows local governments to enact an ordinance requiring short-term rental developers and those agencies and actual property owners to remit certain information to the local governments, such as parcel number, URL for the listing, and other property information, so the local governments are appropriately receiving their share of TOT. This applies, of course, to cities and then also to counties largely. This was a push from local governments responding to a lot of instances where short-term rentals were not remitting TOT. They were not remitting that information, so that we're making sure that that funding comes back to locals, and also the short-term rental companies are abiding by all local and state applicable laws. Next slide. In DC, similarly, lots of action this year. The hallmark of this Congress really has been the slim majority that Republicans hold in both the House and the Senate. Just a couple votes, one way or another, can decide whether or not an action passes or fails, and that's what we're seeing right now with the shutdown. Looking at how DC and California are working potentially together and also potentially against each other on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or H.R. 1. There are some provisions that would withhold funding from states and specifically from counties when it comes to certain safety net programs. And also the federal government has withdrawn, or the state withdrew several Clean Air Act waivers as the state has tried to advance their clean air goals. The federal government has pushed back a little bit as well. And we've seen some action at the state side of ramping up some of the support for those programs, specifically with, as I mentioned earlier, cap and trade dedicating more state funding to local programs. We are, of course, now on shutdown watch. It's October 15th. Today is military payday. That's putting some additional pressure on the federal government. Looking into the future, October 20th is the last paycheck for House staff. October 31st is the last day for Senate staff to get paid. So there's some internal pressures on federal government to come back. But right now, the bill is held up in the Senate. It needs 60 votes to pass. They need 7 more. So the Senate Republicans and Democrats are right now, they're both holding out. There hasn't been a lot of urgency to come back to actually pass something, but we're continuing to watch it. Next slide, please. What local agencies should expect? No new federal funding is moving forward right now, but if there is any previously awarded funding, that will still remain accessible. Certain agencies are still responding. They are still working. A lot of safety net programs are still accessible. We are anticipating SNAP and WIC funding to run out in the near future. President Trump has indicated that he intends to use tariff revenues to backfill funding for SNAP and WIC. Waiting on those funds to potentially run out and seeing where the support comes from to shore up those accounts as well. Other good news, the city has a successful earmark progressing through the federal government, even though everything is on pause right now. Members of Congress have indicated that they are very supportive of including any earmarks in future funding bills. They made the push last year for funding to be included. Earmarks were not included in the continuing resolution that we're still operating under, but for full appropriations, we are anticipating that this funding to move forward. For the city specifically, $1 million was appropriated or included for the city by Congressman Jim Costa for City Hall upgrades and Emergency Operations Center. We submitted 3 other projects as well, projects for fiber optic build out, fire EMS ambulance, and then also body cam and dash cam build out for the police department. Those 3 other projects were submitted and selected by Senators Padilla and or Schiff. Unfortunately, on the Senate side, those funding earmarks did not progress, but still looking good on the House side. We'll keep you updated as we hear more. Into the future, of course, we're going to continue pushing for more state and federal earmark requests. At the state level, there was not an opportunity for earmarks with the deficit. Certain members of legislative leadership were able to secure some Prop 4 funding, but broadly there was not an opportunity for most members to submit earmarks. At the federal level, we will of course still continue to submit. Your state members are soliciting earmark requests in case funding does materialize. We will continue to work with the city on identifying those projects, making them as competitive as possible, gaining local and state support, progressing both in Sacramento and DC. The city has a great relationship with your electeds. Assemblymember Macedo is already soliciting legislative ideas, earmark requests, and then Senator Hurtado, same exact thing. She's very present in the community, both very favorable to the city of Kingsburg. At the federal level, again, same thing. Congressman Costa is helping out the city with your earmark and has been very responsive. He's also working on legislation to help local governments identify public health threats. It's something that's very near and dear to him and then also to the Central Valley. Next slide. In Sacramento in 2026, we're anticipating more action on housing. Local governments are seeing a lot of action on housing, both good and bad. The state is trying to build more, sometimes at the expense of local control. but we are always vigilant on what we are seeing in Sacramento, very vigilant on how it could impact the city. Budget tightening, as I mentioned, another structural deficit next year. I'm not sure exactly how it will shake out or what the state will do, but there will be some tough financial decisions in January and the rest of next year. And then November 4th is the special election for Prop 50. We're anticipating every voter is getting mail one way or another, and a lot of members are engaging at the local level as well. If Prop 50 were to pass, the city would still be in Congressman Costa's congressional district. Next slide. In Washington, D.C., there's been a concerted effort to prioritize infrastructure spending, building roads, building bridges, and a lot of that comes with the surface transportation reauthorization. This comes up about every 5 years or so. The last round was done in 2021 with the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. That funding goes towards Safe Streets and Roads for All, RAISE grants, now BUILD grants, and Congress is soliciting input from local governments on what they'd like to see in terms of funding levels, funding priorities. So we'll continue to work with the city on getting the city's priorities and potential suggestions and advocacy to Congress. Budget negotiations stalled right now, but we'll continue to update the city as things progress. Next slide. I gave you a lot of information. We love working with the city. Of course, very open to hosting in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. I hosted the city for a brief trip earlier this year in Sacramento, identifying some potential dates for going out to D.C. again as well. Any questions?
Questions from council?
I have a question. If we go back to page 498 real fast, the SB 346, Spencer, just can you explain the short term? What classifies as a short term? Is that like under 30 days? Is that under a year? What is that?
It's like going to be Airbnbs. It will be
days.
It's a very good question. Days. I will double check. Usually it's I believe is in the 30-day range.
Okay. So like a 3-month rental property or something like that wouldn't qualify. That would be considered more long term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spencer, if I may. Remember, still, it's anything less than 30 days. So even if you stay at the Fairfield, if you stay longer than 30 days in one consecutive session, after that certain amount of time, you're not required to pay TOT anymore.
Okay.
That's state law.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity. And then Spencer, I know that many of us have relationship with the assembly members. Is there anything else that we could be doing on our side to help on earmarks or anything like that? Letters that we can send, or just conversations that we can have when we're available? Or
one thing I've seen that has been very impactful is supporting your members' legislation, even if it's not something the city would normally support, if it's something that has a positive community impact or is something of interest personally, or if it's something that the assembly member or senator have engaged with the city on. And I'll do more work with those members on identifying which bills they would like to see supported. But that elevates the city's position. It elevates your name with those members, and it's submitting a letter. It's a low touch point in terms of effort from the city, but it means a lot to those members. Seeing a letter come in from the city of Kingsburg that they support the senator or assembly members' bills, it means a lot to them. I would recommend that, and I will work with the city on identifying some of those bills, and then also the members seeing what they could do, what they would like to see in terms of legislative support.
Okay, thank you. Nothing.
Yeah, I have a question, Spencer. On SB 707, the Brown Act, did you say that was signed or pending?
Signed. That bill has been signed as well. Yes.
Okay. So with the hybrid public participation, that just means more work for our staff?
Yes. To be brief, yes.
And is that hybrid only for public participation or council participation also?
The bill does extend hybrid participation from council as well, but that does also apply to the public. Yeah, for both.
For both?
Yes.
Because I think the report I saw here, I wasn't sure if it was also for, I thought I had heard that it was also for council to.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. And then The AB 379 by Schultz, the solicitation, it says increase the penalty for solicitation of a minor in only, it says specific circumstances.
Yes, as I mentioned, it makes solicitation of a minor a wobbler, so felony or a misdemeanor, if the offender is, I believe it's 3 years, more than 3 years older than the individual that they are soliciting. So it is very narrow.
So it's not a felony for only possess. It just seems crazy that it wouldn't be a felony for any solicitation of a minor. You know?
Exactly. Yes, that was
It says that special specific circumstances.
intended populations. But yes, that your point is very well taken. It's something that we're working to make sure is that the right fit is met. While there was also significant opposition to this bill, which I think is which is of note. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, at least it's a start in the right direction. I don't know how Sacramento people want to be, elected officials want to be soft on crime, but they do. A lot of them do, and like you said, it's a big topic and it's hard to get these things passed. But at least this is a start, Right? Thank you.
No other questions. We'll open it up to the public. Do we have any public comment or public questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back. I just want to say thank you to everything that your organization is doing. I know there's a lot that happens behind the scenes the public doesn't see. A lot of lobbying efforts, a lot of just communication. You guys have been phenomenal, both for me. I know the city manager feels the same way. Anytime we need anything, you guys are there for us, both with trips to Sacramento that we've taken advantage of for those lobbying efforts to move the representatives, and to Washington, D.C. Both of those were incredibly fruitful, great relationship building. You guys make that process seamless for us. So I would say that you guys have been an incredible investment for our city that has returned very, very high return on our investment. So I appreciate you. I appreciate all the updates and you coming down and spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. We are very proud to work with the city. Local governments are hit by a lot of legislation in Sacramento and DC. I might not have all the answers right away, but we will always work as hard as we can for the city.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to the developer impact fee study. Proposed discussion by City Manager Alex Henderson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. California's Mitigation Fee Act requires local agencies to conduct nexus or justification studies for developer impact fees to establish a reasonable relationship between the fee's purpose and the impact of development. So developer impact fees are those fees that are charged on eligible new construction, so both single family and commercial projects. And the study ensures fees are used to fund public capital facilities and improvements necessitated by new development, and must be periodically updated to reflect current needs and conditions. The fees are a condition of eligible project approval, and agencies must demonstrate how the fee is used to fund specific public improvements. In September of 2021, the California legislature passed Assembly Bill 602, and the governor signed it into law. Among certain requirements, including new website reporting requirements, it also changed some requirements related to impact fee nexus studies. In summary, it requires a nexus study to be performed every 8 years, beginning in on January 1st, 2022. All impact fees must now be adopted after the completion of a nexus study. When applicable, nexus studies shall identify the existing level of service for each public facility, identify the proposed new level of service, and explain why the new level of service is appropriate. The City Council last approved and updated a nexus study in 2016. And given the new state mandates and the amount of time that has elapsed since the last city study and update, Council authorized a budget allocation to complete a new nexus study as part of the fiscal year 2026 budget cycle. Subsequently, staff crafted and released a request for proposal on August 1st, 2025, with responses due by August 22nd, 2025, and we received 2 qualified responses. The city has worked with both firms in the past and has confidence that both are capable of meeting the scope of work outlined in the RFP. To summarize those proposals, which are both included in your packet this evening, one company is DTA. They are the same company that performed our Nexus study in 2016. They have completed these similar justification studies for a number of California communities, and they also administer the city's community facilities district's fee collection annually. Their proposal came in at a cost not to exceed $49,210. And the second one was Willdan Financial Services. We are also familiar with Willdan. They do this same service for other communities, but they also administer the city's annual landscape and lighting districts. Their proposal came in at $87,300. Both firms are proposing approximately 6 months to complete the update. We intend to incorporate any proposed fee changes with the fiscal year 27 budget development, meaning any new impact fees would be considered by council at that time to take effect on July 1, 2026. As is dictated by state law, any existing projects that have received development entitlements would be grandfathered and would pay the current rates. And while staff is confident that either firm could successfully complete the justification study, we are recommending DTA given the proposed cost for services. The Finance Committee reviewed both proposals during their October 6, 2025 meeting and have recommended DTA for the City Diff Nexus study update. Our recommendation this evening is that the City Council authorize the City Manager to enter an agreement with DTA to complete a development impact fee update and Nexus study for the not to exceed cost of $49,210. That concludes my report, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Council discussion or questions? No, seeing none. Public comment? Bring it back to council. Do we have any final questions or comments?
Just a real quick comment. So I was looking through the list and they've worked with, the DTA has worked with, I think Fowler was the closest city that was close, not only closest to us, but close in probably size as well. So I did have a conversation with Alex about if we had references from them. He assured me that the city's worked with these firms before and he has confidence in them. So I appreciate that. And, the difference between the two is $38,000 is quite a bit of money. So I think since we've worked with the firms before, I feel comfortable, with both of them. So I just wanted to make that comment. Nothing further.
Yeah, Alex, you said this is says here in the summary, it's required because of Assembly Bill AB 602.
That's correct. Prior to that, it was not a requirement, and there was not a time frame associated with how often they had to be updated. So you could continue. I mean, there's an argument to be made that you should probably do it a certain number of years anyways, just because of the cost of, what you're charging a developer is essentially going to pay for improvements. For example, when we did the new restroom at Memorial Park, we used developer impact fees to pay for that. And so if you're not collecting an appropriate amount based upon how much things cost, you're going to be short when it comes time to want to do that. But there's not a choice anymore. So yes, at least every 8 years you have to go through one of these studies. So it does become another unfunded mandate, as it obviously costs money to go through these studies.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussions? If not, I believe the recommendation is to authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement with DTA. We'll entertain motions.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We have canceled item 17 for tonight. Under future agenda items, we have none listed, and so we will turn back to you for the city manager's report.
Couple items. First one, just informational. We'll continue our discussion on the Measure E at both the November 5th and the November 19th meeting. So just encourage the community to come to that and attend and provide input. And then second is an event that happened just this morning, which some of you may have heard about, but there was an older citizen that was at Katie's Kitchen this morning and suffered cardiac arrest during breakfast. But our police and fire departments both responded under 3 minutes and were able to resuscitate the patient. And by the time she was at the hospital, she was up and speaking and doing well again. So just kudos to both of those departments. I know Chief Roberts also mentioned that they use some of the new equipment, I believe it's called the Lucas device, and some other ones that they received through a grant from the Kingsburg Health Care District. So I just highlight, that those grants are important and our partnership with them is important. And, what could have been a really sad day turned out to have a good outcome. So that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks, Chief. Those Lucas devices are interesting. They're brutally effective is maybe the best way of describing that.
I would say so.
Yes. Next, we're going to move on to city council reports and committee reports. We'll start with council member North.
Chamber met last night, and it was Lauren Nichols' first meeting. I think that she is a great addition to our chamber, and her expertise was already seen at the first meeting. And I was able to meet with her and have a lunch meeting yesterday and just listen to her, like what she sees in the future of the chamber. And one of the things that really came through, which I believe shows she's the right person, is she said in talking to the board members, talking to members that she's already been in touch with, that she sees that everybody involved has a heart and a passion for our community. And she sees a really bright future with our chamber because that's the foundation. So I think we're very lucky to have her at the chamber now. Upcoming ribbon cutting, I believe you got an email about it, for the Fair Trade store that's going right down here called Humankind, and it's at 11 o'clock on Friday. They will be open from this weekend until Christmas Day. They're like a temporary pop-up and fair trade. So if you can make it, that would be appreciated. 5 Cities, which is called Centerpoint. We meet quarterly. The meeting is on the 23rd, and it will be in Selma at 6 o'clock. I believe it's at the police station. And our next bid meeting is November 4th at 8 o'clock. And the next chamber meeting is moved a week further into the calendar due to Veterans Day falling on a Tuesday. So it will be on November 18th, my birthday, so they better have cake. And I also got to meet today our newest hire for the Kingsburg Police Department. I believe his name is Officer Maldonado. So I think that Officer Jimenez is making his rounds introducing him. He came from Atwater Police Department, I believe, but he lives here.
Councilmember Smith.
I didn't attend the most recent finance committee meeting. Brandon attended in my absence, and our next meeting will be October 27th. Community Services hasn't met, and our next meeting will be October 22nd, next Wednesday. Recently, I attended a town hall meeting with Allie Macedo. She had here in town. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to hear her speak. That was very interesting. So good turnout. It was nice to see her come to Kingsburg. This past Monday night, we started our first Swedish Festival meeting. So we're getting the planning underway. This will be the 60th Swedish Festival next year. Additionally, I went to the Taste of the Town on Sunday. That was a great event, a good turnout. The Rotary is no longer hosting it. They've turned it over to the Tuesday Club and the Historical Society, but it was very nice. That would be it.
Councilmember Silva.
Thank you, Mayor Purcell. Yeah, so I attended the open house at the fire station. Thank you, Chief Roberts, and to your staff and city staff. That was a great event. A lot of people there. I did see some fellow council members there, so that was good too. I also attended the California League of Cities Conference with several other staff members and Mayor Purcell. And that was very informative, good trip, met lots of people from around the state. So that was good. I want to say thanks to Vince for Pro Tem Palomar for going to the Kingsburg Healthcare District meeting on my behalf since I was absent. I'm sure he'll give a report on that later. I did go to the Chamber of Commerce meeting after for the second hour. It was a 2-hour meeting. Just a couple notables on some of the events committees. Cindy Regier, board member, is the chair of the Santa Lucia and the Jolgren Fest. So if you have any questions regarding those, I would say Cindy Regier would be a great resource, and they're always looking for volunteers to help out with events. So just a reminder on that. The membership committee also spoke, and they've brought in 5 new additional members. So that was good. They're trying to grow the membership base, and they're trying to reach out to community businesses and members a little more. So that was good. In addition to that, just another side note pertaining to the Santa Lucia, they are talking with the bid about possibly relocating the Santa's Hut. So we may see the Santa's Hut maybe in another location. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that. The South Kings GSA has not met, and nor has the Economic Development. And that, I believe, concludes my report.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Brandon. Okay, at the Humor Healthcare District meeting, it's very interesting. They gave out a lot of money last week. The KHS choir boosters were there, and they gave them $10,000. The Kingsburg Police Officers Association was also there speaking, asking for a grant, and they were given $20,000 for community needs. Also, Adam was there from swim and water polo, and the healthcare district will be helping fund the KHS Aquatics Time Board. I'm not sure if they gave an amount, but they're going to be helping fund that. And also, Chief Roberts was there, and they didn't vote on it because they didn't. There was only 3 members there to vote, and Kenny can't vote on a new gurney, so they're going to vote on that next meeting. So at SKF, we met last week or 2 weeks ago. Actually, we met on the 8th. We approved a consulting agreement with MKM and Associates, and then we also approved an agreement with Hurwitz Engineering Services for 1 year. Planning Commission had a workshop and a discussion on multifamily objective standards, and that was last Thursday night. And public safety, we are scheduled to meet next month in November. Oh yeah, and also Dave and I went the day I got back from Florida on the 1st, and the very next night on October 2nd, Dave and I went to Ali Macedo's fundraiser in Tulare. And there was a lot of elected officials there, and they had a nice auction, and they raised a lot of money in that auction, a lot of money. They had a lot of good items there, and it was just good to speak with people there. And Tongi Paul was there, and he had good things to say about what he's doing also. And I also went last week. I saw Stacy there at Allie's meet and greet. So it was, yeah, she did. She had a very good talk there to the people that all there from Kingsburg, and she's very well spoken, and she's a very smart young girl, young lady. Yes, for sure. So that's all I have.
Thank you. At Finance Committee, it's what we saw DTA recommendations coming. For Council of Governments, and technically the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority, they've appointed me to the CalVans board. So I'm the Fresno County Director for CalVans. The program is not doing well at all. There's some very significant financial issues there. That's the van pool sharing program that you guys see in town. I think they take mostly correctional officers places and farm laborers places. They're in real bad financial situation. If they don't figure out about a $15 million fix real quickly, that program's hurting. Traveled to Long Beach with Councilmember Silva and City Manager. Good conference, same as always. Mostly networking stuff, which was good. A lot of good contacts, a lot of good conversations. I think because our last meeting was canceled, I don't think we've talked since we had the fire truck push in. So I think we've all attended the fire truck push in, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
Great event. Thank you, Chief, for hosting that. And Senator Hurtado was here for that, and Supervisor Mendez. And Supervisor Mendez also recently announced that he will be stepping away from office. This will be his last term, which is really unfortunate for us. He's a great resource for us. Sounds like there's a potential successor that could be just as good, but fingers crossed. Is there anything else from council members, staff, public? Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting.